When last we left our heroes, Asmo the Sneckman Fighter, Danir the Catman Wizard, Nara the Drow Sorceress, and Wolfgang the Angelic Warlock, with a contentious situation involving a suspicious living mold overtaking a northern military base and barring the crossing of a number of refugees, Wolfgang dispatched a team from the Kylum Diaboli to investigate. When the situation turned out to be a bit more fraught than originally anticipated, the team was ordered to engage the mold, as our heroes observed from Silver Rock. As the away team dispatched with the demonic tendrils, it led to the discovery of a living portal. As an insectoid demonic form stepped out from the portal, our heroes leapt quickly to action with a scroll of teleportation, saving the Kylum squad with their intervention. After a contentious meeting with the demon calling himself Kaitaron, the party came to the discovery that the Ramses Palto of this timeline was not lost in the infinite after the events of Lona Throned. With an invitation to meet in the realm of dreams, the party once again came face to face with the new archmage of the Midnight Kingdom. He offered an accord, an immigration compact allowing the migration of the citizens of the Midnight Kingdom to move south in exchange for the opportunity to allow the sorcerers and citizens of the south to move north, should they choose. What will our heroes do with the events of this negotiation? Let's find out as we rejoin them in the Dream Realm. And I hit the music for the Dream Realm, which I think is this one. Good enough. So Ramses floated back beneath the bloody waters, the shapes of his demon hierarchy kind of fading away with the ripples alongside of him, and the stoop of Danir's dream mansion, which you stand upon, once again begins floating back into the sea of stars above you. What make you of these events?
Danir just turns to the rest of the party. I hate that place more than any place that I have ever seen, even more than the swamps. And that's saying something.
So, we're totally gonna have to fight those guys later, aren't we?
At this point, safe to say we might have to fight everybody we meet under such auspicious circumstances.
I mean, that doesn't sound like it's the worst if I'm honest, but...
You say that now before the fight.
Yeah, I'd say it during the fight, too.
Alright, so, you're still in the Dream Realm. I don't know if you've been talking at all, Connor, but I can't hear you.
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Nick, could you actually paint the picture of what this Dream Realm looks like again, just to refresh my memory?
Absolutely. As you drift further and further away from Ramses' dream, which is kind of rippled back into a blank space, a blank void of nothing, all around you, while you're standing just outside of Danir's dream mansion, this Isharian house of strange proportions, you look out, and it looks as though you are staring into a galaxy. A series of flickering lights just kind of cascade through the distance, and as you drift by one closer, you can see that it just... each of these balls, each of these little orbs of flickering light is another dream being had by somebody who's unconscious somewhere in the world.
Ooh, immediately starts looking through them.
You're close to one. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
20.
Sure enough, you're like the one that you're closest by. You can kind of see that it is a dream of a man who dreams of boats. It is a ocean. They are on an ocean-faring vessel. The sea foam is splashing up around the hull as they are standing overlooking the vast expanse of the ocean before them. They are dreaming of a seafaring adventure, this young man is.
Can the dreams be affected by us in any way, shape, or form?
They can be affected by Denier. Unfortunately, as you are unfamiliar with the magic that it takes to travel this realm, you do not have the ability to inject yourself into others' dreams as Denier would.
Is there any ability to not interject myself, but my thoughts into it, or ideas to influence it from a distance?
You would have to ask Denier very nicely, and he would have to agree.
Hey, Denier.
Yes, Nara.
See that dream over there?
I see it.
Is there any way I could put, like, a turtle in the water or something?
Like, how big of a turtle?
Are we on the turtle?
Looks around.
Like small boat sized.
Oh, okay.
Just something that'd be memorable.
Denier looks over and he waves his hand looking at this dream. And I'm going to attempt to materialize a turtle about the size of a large boat with a single palm tree on its back.
All right. You see as Denier's, like, the house kind of floats a bit closer, and then Denier himself begins to kind of float off of the stoop of the house as he approaches the dreamscape of this person. And you see this arcane energy kind of gathering around him, as this is not attempting, as you are not attempting to force a nightmare upon this person. They don't have a save that they can make, correct?
Correct.
All right, then lo and behold, the water before the ship begins to bubble, and a palm tree begins to sprout forth from the water as the sea foam begins to kind of bubble around it. The wake gives birth to the grassy shell of a very large sea turtle.
So, how did you do that?
It's difficult to describe. It's kind of like asking you how you perform necromancy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I could go through the entire practice of it.
A large graph filled with many different glyphs and sigils appears beside Denier as if he's giving a PowerPoint presentation. None of these glyphs or sigils mean very much to you at all. At least in the combination that they are currently appearing.
The rest of the party find themselves sitting in almost school-like desks and chairs. Denier is suddenly in the form of like a high school teacher with a pair of little spectacles on and a long pointing stick, and he just taps the wall for a second at one of the glyphs.
Nara clasps her hands together, scooches forward on the desk, and her eyes get all big.
Now, all of a sudden, it appears as though you find yourself... The space around you begins to transform. Desks just kind of materialize out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you find yourself sitting what appears to be an interior lecture hall, presumably somewhere within the mansion that was once sitting behind you.
Nara looks obviously ready to learn everything Denier is about to tell her.
Denier will give the most basic gist of the spell dream.
Ooh.
And anybody that wishes to understand it, unless you have a level in Wizard, give me a Arcana check with disadvantage.
Let me take a look at dream. Believe
You
that
said
there are other
Arcana
classes
check
that can
at
have it.
disadvantage?
Yes, but you're explaining it like a wizard,
Very true.
because that's how you learned it.
Okay, so Arcana at disadvantage, correct?
Yes.
9.
Not, a lot of it's kind of going over your head, but it is fascinating. And he's very,
Actively-
like, it's mostly his enthusiasm with how he's explaining it, because he
Right.
finds this subject fascinating, so it's very impassioned.
Nara is just nodding her head, knowing that if she listens long enough, something might make sense hours from now.
10.
Wolfgang, you've been in this realm enough to kind of understand a little bit about what he's saying, but wizarding magic and that type of magical study was never your strong suit. So, again, a lot of the how-to information is really going over your head.
I mean, anybody can make a light. Anybody can cast a message through a strand of copper wire, but how many people can bend reality to your will? I mean, he walks over and opens a door, and there is just a room full of staircases everywhere.
Do that.
Cut out real hard
Yeah, you
on
cut
my
out.
end.
I want to do that real bad.
I am not going.
Asma just grabs her hand. No,
Why?
we are. There is so much bullshit going on around us right now.
Come
You know-
on. It'd
know,
be my
Asmo-
bullshit.
I have a meat house in here.
D.
At the mention of that, you can now smell the cooking meats. You can almost hear the fat sizzling as it drips on the coals.
She looks at Asmo.
If I could make anything happen in your dreams, wouldn't that be ideal? Blink, blink.
Asma's just frozen.
That's what I thought. Continue, Denier.
The realm of dreams is such a fascinating location that even I haven't had all the amount of time that I need to fully explore the entire place. And what's more, time affects us differently here than in the waking world. We have far more time here in the same... Time moves
Lower?
faster here.
Faster.
So in one night out there, when you guys are sleeping, I get 3 days here.
Oh, I see.
1 minute out there is 10 minutes in here.
Interesting.
Which is exactly how I was able to make all of this. I have a lot of time on my hands.
And a lot of the squigglies and stuff that you were showing me, but I want to keep learning this.
You know, it doesn't surprise me that it surprises me a little bit, but it also doesn't surprise me that an elf would be fascinated with dreams, given that, you know, you don't really dream, do you?
No, it's more like a trance state. I don't really dream. And I don't sleep, quotes, as much as you all do. But the idea of being able to manipulate yet another realm, since I've been through, you know, at least close to the Veil enough times. Just be fun to have another place to visit, you know?
There's so many places that you can visit, but you always have to be careful because every one of those bubbles is occupied, and they're not always good.
Oh, I know.
Also, he points towards Nora and Wolfgang. I believe I may have gotten some information for you two.
Really?
I think I think your Ramses is dead.
Wait, what?
And Daenerys gives a little wave, and a little gateway appears on a nearby wall, and it shows the images, the flashing images that Daenerys saw whenever he tried to figure out if the voice was still there or not. The images of the bright flash and the skull staff falling to the ground.
Oh. Interesting. Wait. The staff fell to the ground and there was a bright flash, but what was that happening around?
When I was focusing on the voice of the bleeding god, which, according to you two, was Ramses Palto the entire time from your timeline.
Yes.
He points towards Asmo for a second. That's exactly how I feel right now. I got that image inside of my head.
Huh.
So I haven't felt anything from the bleeding god for a little bit. And apparently neither has Ramses, which is very concerning. But at the same time, that vision kind of makes me think that something killed him.
Looks at Wolfgang.
You don't think it was our Daenerys, do you?
At this point, I think that's the only person who could.
Oh boy.
So,
Did you get any other flashes during that time period, Daenerys?
intel's good intel, right?
Not particularly, but I did see a number of pairs of eyes in the darkness, which means Ramses wasn't alone.
Probably his lieutenants. We heard about them in the past. Or in the future, I suppose.
And about that time, that's when the room kind of fades around everybody, and they appear and the party appears in what appears to be a very large room with a number of pictures, statues, and a massive table with a sprawling map of Marmaria across it that Daenerys has been able to figure out so far. You are now in his war room, and he looks over at a nearby statue where there was a statue of Ramses along with a long list of known capabilities, and a new statue appears, a very detailed statue of Kytron,
Oh?
and beside him begins to list out plausible capabilities that Daenerys has picked up from his multiple arcana checks. Welcome to the War Room. This is where I spend a fair bit of time thinking about possibilities and what our enemies can do. So
Wow.
we don't know the others, and that's when there is 6 other mysterious, shadowy, amorphous figures appears on similar platforms.
Yeah, the most you got from your meeting with Ramses is the approximate size and shape of their silhouettes. So,
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's what I had told him, right?
Mhm.
Or, yes, we have divined what that is.
Yeah.
And so the shadowy figures of each one of the demon princes appears with a question for each name and a question for each capability, with speculative notes for each one. So this one, from what I've seen, looks like he is able of some kind of alchemical natures, probably a number of poisons or diseases. So if we deal with this one, we're probably going to have to be prepared to fight off illnesses or sicknesses, as well as a number of rather nasty alchemical formulas. It looks like some of his attacks come from here, and he motions towards the hands, where the statue emulates the bubbling that Kaiteron had previously. Although I don't know if we're going to be fighting him before long, but the fact that they have a demon portal is a little bit concerning.
Wolfgang and Nara, you might be able to discern the approximate powers of 3 of these, and maybe even 4, because you have seen one of them, and 3 of them have been described to you by somebody else with firsthand knowledge.
Yes.
From future Elliot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do we need to roll for it, or?
If you can remember which ones, no. If you can't, it has been long enough that I'd allow a roll to give you hints.
I think one of them was definitely the magnetism demon or devil, I guess at this point.
You know that one of them can control metal, yes. You're not sure which one or what it looks like.
One can control metal, one can change memories.
Yep, you were told about that one as well. One that
And
can manipulate
then-
minds specifically.
I think that one
One-
was short, too.
I think we were told about the one that can create barriers.
Yep, that is another
Yeah.
capability you were told about.
And we know firsthand that one of them can summon other creatures.
Oh, yeah.
You know that there
We-
is a creature that can summon other creatures. You're not sure if it's one of these, though. Is the thing. Is how I'd rule that, I think.
Fair enough.
But there is one that you saw firsthand when you were first escaping Lona Throned.
Right, the big fucker. I think,
Yeah,
right?
that was,
We
tall,
saw
bulky boy. I know he's in my notes. Ooh.
we saw no, there were multiple of those. The weird teleporter flesh prison demons.
Yeah, the
Oh, God.
blobos. The blobo.
Yeah, although
Chaka's
describing...
like, flashback!
Although as information goes, sharing as many of the demons that you have come into contact as possible. I'll just let that be shared information.
And as the information is shared, they go up, they get added to notes and little pins all over the room.
And if you're kind of allowed to dip into the minds of Nara and Wolfgang, you can also put a face to the largest, at least bulkiest and largest of the frames. It is a creature that looks as though its flesh is made of hardened, almost magma-like rock. Its eyes burn with an orange fire, its mouth brimming with exhaustive heat and smoke, with a deep, deep orange glow appearing throughout various cracks in its skin. And you know that this one has the ability to morph and grow. And it has 2 almost bat-like wings on its back.
How wide would you say its wingspan is?
At the current stance, you'd say the wingspan is probably 16 feet. And it stands at about almost 9 feet tall and 6 feet wide.
Good God.
I don't think we know this particular power, but I think during the one shot it was described as he can make himself grow, I think.
You saw him as a giant in Lona Throne when he was attacking the mechanized statue.
Right.
Yeah, he was enormous.
That's a thick boy.
Now that I know what it looks like, I might be able to spy on it.
Well, that'd be helpful.
Something on your mind?
You guys will get mad if I say it. It's better if it stays inside.
It's a trap. It's a trap,
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
trap. So pull the pin on it. What's going on?
No, it'd just be nice if we could just laser them off the map with a cannon. But that's not really a choice anymore. Please don't get mad at me.
Are we still in a giant collective dream?
You are basically in the manifestation of my own mind, kinda.
We can fantasize about lasering them off with a giant cannon.
As you see
Doesn't mean
that
the
little
cannons are
yellow,
like-
as you see that little yellow beam start popping down from the sky and shooting various cities in the north. You see the little domes of light appear where they impact, like a game of missile command.
Wait, is Denier making that happen, or does that just happen because it's happening in our heads?
It's just happening because I'm saying it's happening, honestly.
Damn it. Because if that was a choice, there would be like an unholy, like, boom.
I mean, the thing about it is, you are all very close allies to Denier, so I can kind of see, like, the manner kind of sort of being receptive to your desires, in at least some minor way. The thing about it is, I think that this is just... something's going to go wrong eventually, but at the very least, this will buy us time. But I'm concerned that if his forces start coming down into the south, that means that he's going to start trying to convince people to join him.
And it's probably gonna work.
Convince or manipulate?
Both. That's how Solomon does it.
After all, we have someone who can
Manipulate the minds of people. If people start going over to his side, they're gonna think they want to join up with him, when
Well,
really
and
they
he's
don't.
also got that memory demon. If there's
That's-
any bad blood, he just squishes it.
That's what I was referencing, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. For the first time that no one else has said before.
Well, until about 5 minutes ago, I didn't even know that this thing existed. And I wish it to not exist with every fiber of my being.
The image of the Balrog disappears.
No.
He looks over, and he just waves his hands and makes it return.
I want a small one.
It has an angrier face now. It doesn't like being disappeared.
big angry eyebrows.
You know what? Since she said it, a teeny tiny little itty bitty doll-sized Balrog appears on our shoulder.
Squeaks as it appears.
Pupils slowly dilate. Giant sparkles.
I don't know if you have pupils that can dilate. I'm pretty sure your eyes are like one big retina.
Retinas dilate further. Whoa.
And that's when Denier pulls out a sheet of paper and he actually starts writing something as he sits down in a chair. Lanny above game, Denier is writing a note to Prime and basically explaining what he's learned about the merger situation and what he's basically learned from both Tom and Hackless about a fourth artifact.
You actually think to write this in the blank book that hit you on the head that one day.
Fair enough. Then he grabs it and he is just writing away. The thing, one of the most concerning things is, I don't know if Bahoom's going to go for it, but whatever happens, I have a feeling he's going to flying monkey's paw us on this.
Oh, no doubt. I know for a fact that Ramses doesn't have the best of intentions.
No. What tipped you off about that? The first time you met him, or the second, or every subsequent time?
Every subsequent time.
Let's just say I'm glad I trusted my gut.
Well.
It also doesn't help the fact that he's been guiding himself this entire time.
And now he doesn't have that guidance.
So what will he guide himself with now without it? Will he try and pursue what he was supposed to initially? Or has he changed?
More powerful than Ramses. And all of his demons.
But Ramses isn't our only issue. He motions over towards a corner of the room where a statue of the Jester is. And he points at another one where a miniature statue of Nidhogg is. In his previous state, before he got super big in the future.
Aye. We met him in the future as well.
Yeah, we killed him. It was great.
It took a lot of doing. He had grown in power immensely since when we left him here.
Hang on just a second. Denier grabs his staff, walks over to the statue, and gives it a bonk on the head. Pop. Pop, pop. Enough
Sure,
of
it's
that
not
with
a
you.
go. What are you doing?
You didn't hear the music?
What? What music?
We're in a. Maybe he's hearing music. We're in a dream realm.
Yeah, I guess. You okay?
I am better than I have ever been.
Okay.
I
Defensive.
walked back over and I said...
That's not the question we asked, but
table.
okay. Just giving off weird vibes to everybody. You know, we're just really worried and concerned.
Yeah,
you know?
we're just concerned, buddy.
Well, he has spent more time in this realm than he has awake, so his mind might be slipping. You don't know.
Well, maybe this is his normal. You know.
Who could say?
God only knows.
So, what are we to do about this proposal of Ramses?
Kill him.
Don't think it'll be that simple.
Why?
Because we have to go all the way to a floating crystal city.
Okay.
Well,
We've been to a floating city before. Twice, actually.
We don't have teleport this time.
yeah. The question is, how do you get it to land?
There's a lot of options how you can make it land. Everything from trying to drag it down with stuff to putting something on top of it and making it weighed down.
Yeah.
Heck, you could even trick it into floating lower somehow. I don't know.
What you
Or we
want?
could
You want the
blow it
stack?
up.
You want the island to come lower so you can hit it with your sword?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure many fighters would prefer if their opponents just ran up and opened up their weak spot.
I can see that. The thing about it is we're going to have to talk to Bahoum, and we're going to have to let him know what's going on and let him make the decision. If he doesn't like it, well, we might be going into war a little bit faster than what we thought. Plus, we do still have to get those people out of there, because where else are they going to go? I mean,
That's true.
Tia destroyed the only tunnel that I know of that links the north to the south.
Well, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Hear me out. Okay. Aswell starts scratching his head. So, there's a lot of people in the north who are trying to get out, yeah?
You know, there's some, yes.
Now, when we sit down and talk with him, we don't want to fight, do we? Do we really want to fight with him right now? We barely have walls up around the new town we have. Really want to start a fight with this guy.
Yes. No.
Which is why I imagine that we're doing this to buy time to further train the Kylum, train the mages up, get the army ready.
Furthermore, and hear me out. The Wandering Weasel has a magic that we're able to use. He lets us use the doorknob. It opens up a door from one place to another. One of the fanciest forms of magic I've seen. And I've seen a lot. Hell, we're not even in our world right now having this conversation. So, the practicality of magic's not lost on me. But we always use that to escape a difficult situation. Which, has bailed us out. But if the same magic can it not be applied to give people a stationary gap with the maw itself? We'd be asking for magic to be lent to us to allow teleportation between spot A and spot B, And I know we have the teleportation circle that Ramses himself was, messing around with back in the original town, so I don't even know if we should use that properly anymore. All I'm saying is at the end, the practical way of getting people away over there without causing a political incident is through a very subtle door. You're not going to be able to do anything without big troop movement, moving everybody across, getting everyone down to the maw, across the way, or else we're going to build a bridge of some kind. The only way I can see us getting people from over there to over here is with some kind of goddamn magic.
You're saying we don't cross people over through the wall. We cross people over through the Wandering Weasel.
Aswas just stares at him with his arms crossed, going that this is a very odd thing, but Aswas trying to think about this practically.
I don't want to presume to know the thoughts of gods. The fact that they walk amongst us is already odd enough. And their wonderful bells and whistles and tricks are always fantastic. The ones whose magic I seek to borrow is not one of evil, but one of telling a story. Well, the only way I can imagine convincing this guy. He may just give it to us willy-nilly, be like, oh, there you go, how about that? I don't even know, or he might forbid it. We might see a serious side of him. I just don't know. But the risk right now, heck, you might even convince him by saying all those people are going to be traveling through a bar, and the first thing they see after running for their lives is a damn bar. Please. That would do good for business.
Aswas kind of winks a little bit.
Something to consider exploring. Maybe I could run it past him. I don't even know. Magic's not my thing.
Well, see, this is why I made you Imperator.
I don't know.
Aswas was just kind of scratching the back of his head, going, feeling embarrassed now for pitching a weird magical strategy.
No, that is not a half bad idea, actually. Tom's jurisdiction is tenuous. I'm not exactly sure where he falls on this.
I gotta imagine. No, sorry. You'll have to forgive me.
Out of character, does Ramses know who's Tom? He knows about Tom, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does he know of Tom, though?
He's been to the Weasel. He might not know that Tom is Arcanos, but you're not entirely sure you're not entirely sure what information Ramses has.
If we're looking for a way, funny enough, if we're looking for a way into the northern country as well, the Wandering Weasel once again is an option. We've done it before. Lest we forget. If anyone would have a way. Be a wild
Pass
story.
over and avoid an incident.
You know him, he doesn't want to be involved. It's always kind of been his thing. He doesn't want to be directly involved, right at the edge. Just almost ready to jump in, but never fully doing so. No.
I know of a couple teleportation circles in the north. I also know of, I don't know if they're still alive or still there,
no,
but I do have
Ramses
3
would
allies
know.
there.
Ramses helped build the damn portal system, right?
One of them would be directly to his father's cabin, yes.
Yeah, so I gotta wonder if we could even trust that system anymore now that it was based on his magic. And he seems to be pretty much in charge of his own thing with that now. So I can't imagine if it would be wise to use his teleportation portals, which is why I'm suggesting Tom. Tom is completely different from that. Tom's magic is completely different, at least.
Forgive me, didn't Ramses also help set up the teleportation circle in your old school?
Yep.
All the circles are sus. All the circles are accessible by him. And if I honestly would have said something, but I assumed we all knew that.
The dragons know this as well.
That's why you can't trust any of those northern puddles. He would have scrapped them if we had access to them. So safe to say that is toast. So he needs a whole new system, which is why Tom's system might work. But I'm just talking in circles here.
I do have a couple allies up there that might be of help. I don't know if they're still there or if they're still alive or not, but they're fairly crafty.
Don't forget, for what it's worth, we took a little back route one time, if you may remember. It was a certain thief.
Yes, I was just thinking, the Fey Runners have their network. Although
Yeah,
it's
they
perilous.
do. Oh, it's perilous, all right, but might be even easier to set up than Tom's system, possibly. Technically, I mean, could a route not be hedged through there? Would it not be possible, or would that be subject to Ramses? Could it just go in there and just like wink and it just disappears?
The only way
think
to access that place is by one of their rings at one of their ley line points.
Well, it just so happens that we know where one is.
Nick,
Uh-huh.
where is Solomon again right now?
You're not
Do we
sure.
know? Not sure.
He could
I'm
be
trying to recall.
anywhere.
He could be right underneath us.
Your best bet would probably be somewhere in the
Stab behind you.
network of subterranean caves known as the Underdark, but he has a lot of places that he likes to hang out down there.
Right.
Given the size and scope of the place you saw in the future, that place is probably still under construction.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a number of places that he would go and do his weird little experiments.
Right. Okay.
So, we could try and contact the Fey Runners, which we do have a contact in. I would have to borrow Denir's little, communication, long-distance communication thing to see if we can get in contact with our contacts, and maybe they have a route up there. But I wouldn't put it past them. But I also wouldn't put it past Ramsey to put a hole in that shit, too, with his magic. So it's hard to really say what we're dealing with here, but all I can say is we just load our hands with as much dice as possible and roll. And see how high your score goes. At least on my
This
end.
whole thing usually works.
So, tell you what I'll do.
Looks at the camera.
Tell you
Oh
what
my
I do
God.
after we get out of this dream. I'm gonna talk to Earth, and we're gonna try and actually, I'll talk to you too, Denir. I need you to send a message to.
What was the name of the Fey runner that we worked with, Nick?
Flix, and she is currently the Duchess of the Mines. Or
Well, we need to contact Flix. If you can contact her with your little.
He just puts his hand to his head, but like puts his palm facing forward and does a little with his hand.
You know, the little thing with your brain.
all things considered, she is technically part of the Silver Rock City Council. So,
Oh, is she here in town?
yeah,
He was here like yesterday.
Oh God, Flix was here yesterday. God damn it.
I bequeath
that-
land to her.
yeah. That little that little pink circle is the land that was once promised to her and her family, and it is now hers again.
Well, I have a meeting tomorrow with Flix, then, it sounds like. Well, we have two options in front of us, Tom and Flix. And heck, the plans might even merge a little bit. So,
Maybe.
but that's just for getting out to the north, or trying to help people to the north. It's really whatever way we want to pursue it. Depends on the limitation of the teleportation. Ugh. Worst case scenario, we get a bunch of flying things, and we just fly across. And pray no one notices us, or looks that direction.
He says
Flying-
sarcastically.
Flying things. What?
I don't know. I can't hazard a guess. It'll have wings.
Like a wyvern.
Isn't that a dragon whose hands are their wings?
That's the thing that we killed in the overgrowth. Yes.
And it's like armless dragons. It's weird.
Yes. You had one in the future, and you named it Nara.
I would hazard probably for a joke.
No. No, you were pretty intense about it.
Okay, I'm guessing in the future. I thought you were gone, so it looks like I named his. I don't like any of the words to describe it.
You missed me.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
I know.
You know, there's plenty of rooms around here if you want to get one.
Oh my God. Anyways.
Later. We have to plan a war with the demons now.
Okay, so now we have potential ways in and out, but that being said, do we fight them on their turf or on our turf?
Ideally, we take the fight to them. These people have seen enough fighting.
The problem is, taking the fight to them, they can take the fight anywhere, because the city itself is
And
mobile.
they have that portal, which is real inconvenient for us.
Not the best.
I mean, it can be inconvenient for us, but it could also be very convenient depending on where it's linked to. If that thing is a gateway, who knows where it might lead.
If it leads directly to Meternocht, we could go straight to the heart of the matter.
The problem is... Okay. Alright, so you say you jump through that. So, assuming they don't have something magical just to obliterate anything that just comes through that hole in their base. What would you say to them? On any terms where you could hope to have a conversation? Because even if it isn't something magical, just blast you away the second you walk through there. They'll take you prisoner, and they will torture you for all the information they need. These guys aren't playing around. Not with what they're sending. Not with that thing at the goddamn wall. The idea of having decency is alien to them. I don't even know what that word means. The word alien, that is.
Spice.
On top of that, from what I understand, he reaches out and he points a finger towards Iceforge. I believe that the fourth piece of my artifact is here. Hackless mentioned that there's something up with the city, how the buildings are built certain ways. I believe that there's a Temple of Arcanos either under the city or somewhere hidden in the city.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. This is what I'm thinking. We're gonna go talk to Tom. Because even if we can't get up there, I feel like Tom could. Now imagine this. If we can convince Tom to do this.
I'll say it out of character because it sounds weird saying it in character. Essentially, what I'm kind of low-key pitching is we can try and convince Tom to go up there and then contact us, and then we use the Cole getting to his bar thing to just get up there immediately.
Yeah.
That's what I'm low-key pitching. That's what I'm low-key pitching, but I'm trying to do it in character with my guy not fully understanding magic.
We can't do it for 30 days, though.
Out of character, I would say we'd have to talk to Tom about that. Because we don't know the limits of Tom, what he's capable of doing. Especially if it's his temple. I feel like there might be something extra with that. That being said, Flix with the Fade Runners as well is a fantastic option.
And if your artifact, the final piece of it, is in fact in Meternocht or somewhere, well, the Fey Runners specialize in smuggling magical artifacts.
Leave it to me. Let me talk to Flix. Let me talk to Flix about this. Now, we get along. Don't worry about it.
He immediately looks over.
She's a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. She's a friend.
Uh-huh.
I do have a little question for you there, Asmo. Your second in command.
Yeah, what about him?
His name is Earth?
I can't say his name. He had to write it all the time. And all I can really say is, ugh, through it. It's all bound and stuff in his jaw, you see. It's all woven in there. It's fine. He was always a man of few words, he said. He writes messages. He really does. A lot of his stuff is missives. He actually has really good freehand. Really fancy. I can't fully read it. But others can, so that's good.
So, what exactly does he call his, his team, his squad? Like, the Earth Defense Force or something?
No, he, had about 10 guys, and all of them are just eerily quiet. Just kind of quiet. Not a lot of talking going on. I wish I could. I cannot tell you how calming it is. It's really relaxing to be around them.
So one of the magic is just like Earth, this guy, and all these other guys are kind of like him, but they're similar with their arms crossed. Just no humor.
I imagine you do all the talking for them.
Yeah, probably make it easier. Probably why I said yes. But then again, I just tried to find somebody who, to find an employee, to find somebody who people will listen to. Listen, if I'm going to be in the Parador, whatever that entails to, essentially being in charge of that shit, that means I'm going to have to upset a lot of people. Okay? So, I can go bring on 10, 20, 100 guys, and tell them each what to do. And have to chastise them all, getting a finger wagging from some guy was a criminal at some point. Or, I get a former soldier in Earth, and Earth dictates out all the orders to his commanders, and that way, it never gets to me. Never think you're smart enough or important enough to give orders to the low-level guys. Okay? That's a personal relationship, and that's why I chose him. Sorry, I thought a lot about this.
Rubs his hands together.
What? Why is this eerie? I'm very thorough.
Pointing at everybody defensively.
I thought you liked silence.
No, it's unnerving.
Well, we've got a few plans in place. We've got ideas. I guess the next step is speaking to
Complete.
Bahum.
Oh.
So how long do you think it's going to be before Earth hits Asmo?
I don't know.
He's waiting for signs of trouble. So far, there haven't been any.
So, is there anything else that we need to talk about in this secure location? Or do you lot want to leave?
Just one quick last question. You're sure this sanctum of yours is free from prying eyes?
As far as I'm aware. I mean, Ramses has tried to get into here. Ramses has tried to get in here previously. He's been held back. Tiri Thule has attempted to get in here. She's been held back. I don't know if Arcanos is... Not sure if he tried to get in or if he just knocked on the door.
As you recall, he knocked politely. You're not sure if he could have forced his way in if he wanted.
Yeah,
You're assuming he probably could have, but
probably.
just to ease your mind, you have not felt anything trying to intrude. That would have come with some sort of like wisdom save or something.
Okay. As far as I'm aware right now, we are good. There hasn't been anything that tried to get in. For the most part, everything that is, not me, he looks down at the book, or me. I usually get some kind of a echo or some kind of an idea that they're messing around with the manor.
In that case,
We should probably be about it then.
Although I will say, when I bring you here for real, in your actual bodies, you're going to have to get used to navigating this place.
This gets worse.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't taught you the secret passages.
There are
And what-
secret passages?
Yeah, there's-
Of course
there's-
Why wouldn't there be?
There's paintings that you straight up walk through to get into new rooms.
Shit.
I've made a room for each of you.
I'm gonna make my own one day.
Fair enough. You don't mind sharing a room with Asmo, do you? He gives a little bit of a cheeky grin.
I would never mind.
After he gets done writing in the book, he sets the book down, looks up, snaps his fingers, a spotlight appears on the book as he stands up and begins walking away. All right, let's do this.
The world begins to
And-
fade around you as you all slowly drift back to consciousness. You awaken once again in the safety of the tower. Off in the corner, you can actually see that... Sorry, where is that? There it is. Off in the corner, you can actually see both Ven and Urf sitting and playing a small game of chess, and Urf is actually holding his own.
Goddamn, there he goes.
He looks over. Urf.
Good job, Earth. Good job. That's good work.
He nods. At which point, Venariel would stand up. So, how was your meeting?
Pretty bad.
How bad?
He wants us to act as a liaison to Bohum to open negotiations for immigration protocol. Both sides. His comes to us, ours go to him.
He's calling himself the archmage now.
That is what their
It's
leader
se-
typically calls themselves. So, he wants to open negotiations for immigration between the lands.
Which is a little bit concerning because I'm a little bit wary that if he starts sending his forces down and we accept them, he might send some demons in disguise, or he might send something that might start to lay unrest in the Empire.
What's worse, if we start sending people over there, well, he's got a way of manipulating the minds of people, and he'll make them think that they want to serve him.
Did he make this sound like it was a trade? As in sending people for people?
No.
Nope.
He made a mention that he made a mention that people could immigrate to his nation as well as his people could immigrate to ours. But we could turn people away at the borders. He would basically go over the gist of the entire conversation with Ven. Almost word for word if he needed to, so that she had a full understanding of the situation. Hell, he'd straight up replay the conversation for her if she wants it.
She gets the gist of it from you as she listens. You can see her facial muscles just kind of like twitch as she's pondering the implications. It's a strong gambit. Playing at peace to treacherous ends.
And it also buys time for him to build up forces because apparently the fortress at the Maw has been out for a while, but they eventually built up a gateway there.
A gate.
That's what the trouble at the wall was.
I see. This is a delicate situation.
Doesn't have to be.
So-
Well, let's go push it either closer or further away from the edge.
She looks to you, Nara. How so?
She wants to kill them all.
Yeah.
I'm not sure an act of war would do anyone much good in this situation.
I don't know, it's worked before.
For something like that to work, it would need to be something incredibly covert and incredibly precise. You would need to be able to kill all of them at approximately the same time in order for there to be no counterstrike and no collateral damage. And she kind of closes her eyes. Sorry.
Uh-huh. No, I was listening.
It would require a lot of intel. And that would take some time to get. Even
Can you
just
work
to...
on something like that?
Our network of spies in the north isn't exactly large.
Robust.
Especially
Bust.
if what you're saying is true and they have somebody who can not only read but manipulate minds.
We do have the physical form of 2 of his princes for scrying purposes, and I will use Major Image to form both of these demons for Venario to be able to see. So if she chooses to, she can herself scry on them.
She kind
Or
of
she can pass the information.
she stares at them with great intensity. Neither of those seems like they would be an easy target to take down.
We also have accumulated information that one of their abilities are magnetic. One of them can manipulate the minds.
Yeah, I'm playing with the idea that you've already passed that
Okay,
information to her.
cool. It is a little bit concerning that they have an abjuration specialist among them.
But tactically understandable.
What's a counter to that? What magic would counter that, do you think?
Well, if you had a way of dampening magic or just making sure that they couldn't cast it at all, that would be the biggest circumvention.
Well, one day when the day they make anti-magic armor is the day that I deck myself out in it.
Well, for the most part, spells are cast through vocal or somatic components. Disable the hands, disable the voice. No spells.
And that's assuming their magic works the same way as ours. We still
Probably
have
not.
very little information. As I said, the first step, if you were to pursue this assassination tactic, would be intel. You'd need to know their locations, their schedules, their weaknesses.
Uh-huh.
You'd need to be able to coordinate a strike on... And she looks back to you, Denier. Was it 6?
There's 7, isn't it, Lani?
7. Let's see. Kaitaran.
With Ramses.
There's the 4.
Yeah, 7 with Yeah, there's the 4, then the 2, then Ramses. Yeah, so 7.
The 7th was Jeff the Ascended.
He's
dead.
He ascended.
he was not a part of anybody's list. Jeff the Ascended has long since been consumed.
Including Ramses, there's 7, so there's 6 demon princes.
You would need very capable assassins.
Very capable.
Wolfgang's mouth flattens.
And of course,
Oh boy.
and again, I'm not sure that would be the most effective route. It might be the quickest to resolve, but who knows what lasting damage it would cause. And then, of course, there's the possibility that should any of these attacks fail, the retribution would be...
A lot.
Yes. Were you given a timetable? A amount of time to respond? Because I will need to pass this information to the lady, who will, of course, talk to her brothers.
I don't think I was I, Lani?
No, you were not.
Negative. No response. I assume that he expects it's going to take time to get the message down, deliberation, get the message back, and then we would reach out with an answer, probably.
Very well. If you wouldn't mind giving me as much of the information as possible in written form, so I can deliver as concise and proper a report as possible, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to go begin drafting up a missive. And she begins to leave the tower, but before she leaves the door, Lord Connolly, it might behoove you to call the council into session sometime within the next few days to address these issues. I'm sure everybody should be briefed.
Nara, am I in the council?
As she's walking away, yes.
Yeah,
Shit.
yes.
Also,
Wait, am I on the council?
Yes.
What?
That's okay. You need people like us on the council. No. We're not invested. You need that force on the council.
sorry about your familiar, Ven.
What?
The one Wolfgang shot before we went in.
Find out.
She's
She'll find
walking
out.
away,
It's fine.
Demir.
Yeah,
She
she's gone.
Find out later.
I'll give her the gold later.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
are you sure I have to sit through the meeting?
You wanted the fancy title.
I
Queen.
want the title, but I don't want to sit through a meeting. I hate
Too
those.
bad.
Someone always dies when there's a meeting.
Why does
You
power
like
have
it when
to
people die.
Yeah, but sometimes it was me and I don't want to die again. Solomon was the worst with meetings. He would call them and they lasted forever, and then he'd just walk around and zap somebody.
Yep, that does sound like him. But
Well-
child that he is.
Good news. This is a Wolfgang meeting, not a Solomon meeting.
Could be worse. I don't know.
Well, you'll have to attend to find out. And you'll have to attend anyway, because I said so.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'm just gonna go outside and take care of some of my responsibilities.
And she just runs out and starts pulling out the pixie stick, running towards the maw.
Earth walks up like as you're running away, just kind of like rubbing the back of his head next to Asmo. Earth?
I don't know, man. You just pretend you know what you're doing, like I do. Don't actually do that. I need you to know what you're doing.
Earth nods.
Good work back there.
Gives you a thumbs up. Earth.
Wolfgang just pinches the bridge of his nose. Alright. I'm gonna need a plan to figure out how to break this to everybody.
All right. And
We're
while
on
you
speaking terms with the things that we've been training to kill. It's not how I saw things going.
I mean, how different is it than you having a meeting with vampires?
Touche.
I wonder how the Blackthorns are doing in the new regime.
Meanwhile,
not well. Anyway, as you plan ahead to your next steps, and you decide to go get a proper full night's sleep, here's where we'll take a break. Hey guys, Lani here. I just wanted to thank you for rolling with us, and if you wanted to catch us live, you can do so almost every Monday at 5 o'clock Central Time over on twitch.tv/Lanipator. Now, back to the show. So, the night passes. You all awaken. It is another day in Silver Rock. Ven is currently delivering her messages to the royal family.
The people.
You are left with your devices.
Well, now that I know she's part of the council, I don't need to go seek her out, so I'll just wait.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have business to attend to before the city council is assembled?
Nothing in particular, mostly just, running the school stuff.
Still getting that mostly, still trying to get that kind of set up. You and Venariel have been trying to organize what kind of faculty you guys are going to need. And preparing space and trying to allocate areas where you can set up like a dormitory and have that be protected, especially if it's going to be for sorcerers, those of the arcane innate.
Yeah, basically just trying to get the school built up, get everything ready, allocate what resources we need. I think we'll give everybody a little bit of a break from nature time until at least after the meeting.
I would probably follow up with the away team.
Good call. They would have been ordered to await you in a briefing room in the still being constructed Kylum Diabole. I'm sorry, this is the first time I've used this sound. I love the one random dude that just goes, "Oi!" every now and again in this sound effect. Oi! But yeah, they'd meet you in a briefing room at the Kylum, and they'd be standing and waiting at attention. Where's the sound that I would use for this one? Let's go with you. You're good interior sounds. Talia, and it would be standing in order of command, in which case it would be let me look back here. You'd have Rebecca standing kind of slightly to the front, then to her left and a little bit back would be Talia, followed by Gloria and Loris. Sir, we're here for our debrief.
Aye, at ease.
Yes, sir. And she steps back in line with the rest of them.
I think we've got a pretty good idea of what went down, but give me a full report nonetheless.
Yes, sir. Well, we arrived at the wall. We let the soldiers there know that we were passing by your authority. They let us through. We made our way up to the border of the Midnight Kingdom, at which point we noticed that none of their signal fires or exterior torches were lit, and the gates, unsurprisingly, were locked tight, at which point I bade that Talia scale the wall to get a peek inside. She assured me that she could do so without being spotted. Talia kind of smirks at that a little. What we did not realize was that there was nobody to do any spotting on the inside. The entire base appeared completely abandoned, and the green mold had spread from the description that you had given us, at which point we reported to you. We maintained our vigil of the situation until we were given the command to engage, at which point Talia scaled the wall, let us in through the gate, and we started to try to disperse with the mold. We attempted fire at first, but it had little signs of singeing or even burning, And once it had taken notice of our offense, it began to attack back. It started by trying to grapple with us and, I guess, pull us into its form, but we were able to hold it off and push it back. Cadets Gloria and Loris did sustain significant damage in the battle, and as soon as Talia and I were able to push into the building to try to get the mold under control was when we noticed that there was, well, the mold itself seemed to have created a portal.
What?
At which point, you know the rest.
Oh,
course.
right. I'm imagining we're all writing notes at the meeting itself.
At the very least, you seem to have followed in for this. I just want to express gratitude for your intervention, sir. I'm not sure what would have happened were we to come to blows with what came through the portal, but to say the least, we did not wish to cause an international incident.
The situation is more delicate than we initially thought. But despite everything, you all did well. I'm considering this mission overall, at least the scouting portion, a success.
Thank you, sir.
We've learned a great deal from this excursion. More than you know. Recruits.
They stand at attention.
They look particularly injured, I'm assuming.
Gloria and Loris have had time to be healed. So the most that seems to be wounded about them is their pride.
You did well, despite the odds. And despite the unknown dangers as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I look forward to growing under your tutelage.
Well. I suppose with that, I think some awards are in order.
They kind of look back and forth at each other, clearly taken aback.
Oh, don't look so shocked. This is the Kylum Diaboli's first successful outing. And so I feel some compensation is in order.
You honor us, sir, Gloria says as she holds her hand over her breast and begins to kneel. And not being stopped, she kneels.
There's no need for that.
She stands back up.
So the two recruits are just that, like they're as low as you can be in the kind of people, like, correct?
I'd say you'd call them like cadets, probably cadets first class at this point, considering they are relatively seasoned by civilian standards, but they are not they're not worldly. These are the type of people that if there was a series of frenzied bears in a village, you might send these to.
Excellent.
But yeah, the going up against Demon Moss on their first excursion, definitely an eye-opening experience for them.
What would be the ranking system in this organization? I know. I'm
Honestly,
asking you, and I may-
that's kind of up to you, really. These guys are just what you'd probably consider like top of their class students, you know. Kind of like Rebecca was back in the day. All that year ago.
All that year ago. How do you fit 30 years into a year? It's crazy.
Exactly.
I'll give them an actual naming for their ranks soon, but I'll basically just say they all rank up.
All right. Essentially, what you would be doing for them is, among cadets, they would now be considered kind of like squad leaders.
Yeah.
So they would still go out on very, very, very low rank missions. Like I said, you know, frenzied bears, or at most maybe there's like, I don't know, like some rogue bugbears or something.
Indeed. And I'll make sure they're all paid as well.
The coffers have enough for it. I do have a
Excellent.
system in place for all of this, mind you. It's
Now,
it's
Nick,
all
would you
behind
say-
the scenes, and I'm doing
Nick,
real
would you-
unnecessary math, but
Now, Nick, would you say that my almost unearthly ability to play city strategy games, would this be useful right now? How many people do we have chopping lumber right now? Are our lumber stocks high enough for winter? We have to ask these questions.
You're
Are we
actually
making
low-
enough-
We
you're-
require more Vespine gas.
That's
Yeah,
not.
you-
We haven't even needed that yet for the next goddamn building tier. God damn it.
Good lord.
due to the fact that Nara has been pilfering lumber, you are in fact low on lumber.
That
Yeah,
is
sorry
really
about that.
frustrating that we're so low on lumber. Okay, well, let's
that's
just
weird.
chop down the trees to the south. They've already regrown.
The
all
biggest thing you kind of have to worry about right now is the fact that while you do have you know what? I'll save it for the council meeting. That's what those are for.
Indeed.
Nara is trying to avoid whenever the council meeting starts, so she went off to explore a little bit of the maw.
In what way?
Just flying around, trying to be
Flying over it or
Incons-
into it?
flying over, maybe in, depending on how things are looking.
All right. In order to get far enough down to actually see anything, it would take you a couple of hours to fly toward the bottom. Falling is quicker, but also more dangerous.
I mean, so long as she could, like, be holding the stick and just kind of, like, pencil drop down so that
Well,
she could lean up and then fly. She would
We'll
probably...
we'll address this in a moment then, unless
Got it.
unless your meeting here is essentially done, Wolfgang.
Yeah, essentially, I just reward them for a successful mission in the first real outing of the Kylan Diaboli as a structure.
All right, they would salute and begin to leave. Talia would linger behind, though. A moment of your time.
You have it.
She waits for the rest of them to leave. Rebecca gives kind of like a lingering glance as she leaves. Just, what did I do? Kind of like that kind of look. But she leaves. As the door shuts. All due respect, sir, that was a shit show.
How so?
Well, I'm used to acting covertly, and I'm used to attacking in whatever territory I happen to find myself, but all things considered, we went in with without enough information in hand. We engaged with something that we didn't comprehend, and while it looked as though it was a plant, it was something far worse, and was clearly being monitored by a foreign emissary. One of unknown power and equally unknown origin. If you had not intervened, I'm not sure how many of them would still be here.
Could very well be right.
Further, even if they hadn't died, had you not intervened, as Rebecca put it, an international incident would not reflect kindly on this city.
I'm well aware. This is, as I stated, a bit more of a delicate matter than I initially anticipated.
May I make a suggestion?
Of course.
In the future, if it is truly reconnaissance that you were looking for, perhaps leave somebody with bulky armor behind. And perhaps leave somebody who's more experienced in reconnaissance to select the team. And she locks eyes with you.
Again, you may very well have a point. I am still very new to all this. I made the Kylum Diaboli so I could give the average person the same fighting chance that a Connolly has against the horrors that lurk in the dark. And I suppose a bit more input is required on that front. I will consider your words, Talia. Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Of course.
And she nods and begins to leave.
How was it, by the way?
She looks over her shoulder.
Not
How
working
was what?
alone for once.
Rebecca is very skilled. She and I could have made a very good team. But while I believe she does have a knack for leadership that I lack, she lacks the worldly experience of understanding how to prepare for what mission she is being set up on.
Well, she may get it one day. All she needs is a couple of helping hands.
She nods.
You're dismissed.
Thank you. And she leaves. Leaving you and Asmo.
They're rattled.
Well, they just came face to face with a demon.
Worse than that. They know that's not the only demon.
The real demon is this shadow that's lurking above this whole situation.
Oh,
Politics.
Yeah. Ooh. Politics is just people. You find out who could handle being told no enough growing up and who couldn't.
I'm better geared to deal with a cleric than a politics.
Well, apparently Nara's been stealing wood, so I'm gonna go check
What?
that before the big meeting. Yeah, I don't know, man. We gotta get more wood chopping, otherwise we won't have enough.
For fucking what?
Nara sneezes in the distance.
Good, a good transition. Nara, you are currently dropping into the maw. Different music. Let's see, which music did I choose for this? As you fall downward, the light of the sky starts to drift further and further away from you. How long would you fall before you decide to start slowing yourself? Because even with your eyes, it's very difficult to see the bottom of this thing, and you know that it takes a couple hours to fly out if you were to use the pixie stick.
As soon as it starts getting darker, she'll slow the roll, just to make sure that she's not missing anything. Like, because you can even, she wants to make sure that she's taking in whatever she's passing as she goes down.
Well, so far, you're passing a lot of cliff face. There are cracks and fissures along the cliff face as you go down.
If there was anything big enough that it looked like it could house something, but
give me a perception check as you're falling.
Okay.
One of your specialties.
16.
16? All right. As you fall further and further, there's the sound I use for the maw. As you fall further and further into the depths, you do notice something on the cave wall, something of interest to you. There was almost kind of this like glistening sheen for a moment. And you pause to kind of like float back over to it to get a better examination. It appears like there's this kind of like glistening lip of what appears to be like a very small inlet, a very small cave that kind of like shimmies its way down to a fissure. At the point where you can almost stand all the way up in it. And as you kind of like float over to it, you notice that the glistening that you saw is kind of this old, almost crystallized substance. It looks as though it's like a viscous fluid that hardened over time. Not quite like amber or something close or akin to like a sap almost.
Would I have any idea what this is based on where I am and what's around me?
With as little light as you are currently getting, because this is like a 5-minute dead drop fall from the surface. It's very hard to make out the color or substance. You could collect a sample of it if you would like.
I'm just gonna dancing lights first.
Okay, yeah. As you illuminate the area, you kind of have to shield your eyes a bit and like pop your goggles on because you were very sensitive to light.
Yep.
You're able to discern that this goo, or this hardened goo, appears to be kind of like pinkish in tone.
Interesting.
you can go ahead and give me. I guess this would be another perception check as you're trying to get your senses of it.
Okay.
But now you're closer to it.
18.
It reeks faintly of old blood. You get that like slight tinge of copper when you sniff at it, but there's this almost. Do you know Nintendo GAC? Did you ever play with that when you were a kid?
I know of it.
It has that kind of funk to it almost. That sort of like weird, rubbery, like funk to it as well.
Okay.
Whatever it is, it doesn't have any life to it. It may have once been a creature, but whatever it is now long since desiccated.
Okay. Yeah, she will try and collect a little sample of it.
Take it to the lab.
Yeah.
Easy enough. It's something that you could like kind of chip off a little bit. It flakes almost like old dried slime. It just kind of like flakes off a little bit, but you can get like a nice hefty flake of it.
I'm imagining it has like the texture of silly putty but moister.
It's more like if you like pour ketchup on a surface and just like
and then
leave
it
it there, and it kind of turns into like ketchup jerky. Yeah.
Wow, that's disgusting.
And it seems to have been coming out of this fissure in the wall that you're looking at.
She sends the little dainty light as far in as it can go.
Again, this inlet is not incredibly big. It goes about like 3 feet in, and it kind of like goes down in kind of like an arrow pattern. But at its like highest point and like widest point, you could probably stand in this.
Okay.
But the fissure itself, even though you yourself cannot travel into it as you are not a fluid, does look to go pretty deep into the surface of beneath the surface of Silver Rock itself.
And this goo is coming up from the ground, or is just on the ground, or what?
It looks like it was coming out of this crack, this fissure. But whatever it was, if it ever had life, does not.
Okay.
And it does not seem to have had life in a very long time.
Okay. Nara's gonna note where this is, and then kind of keep looking around, keeping an eye out for any more sheen, glistening thingies.
How much further down would you go?
Just to get like one more point to report on, if possible.
All right.
But she's not looking to go all the way to the bottom right now because she knows that's going to take way too long.
Yeah,
and she'll get bored.
Approximately every 1 minute of free fall is about 5 to 10 minutes of flying up.
Right.
So, as you drop down a little bit further and further, let's see. About how many minutes down are you willing to fall? Because right now you're at 5.
So if I've dropped for 5 minutes, it's 10 minutes.
It'll take you almost an hour to fly up from here.
Okay. So she would probably go as far as like 2 hours flying back.
All right. 10
Maybe
minutes.
maybe 2.5, depending on how
Well,
bored
once
she
you
gets.
once you hit the 10-minute of free fall time, go ahead and give me another perception check.
Okay. 29.
You begin to hear this sound echoing beneath you. At first, you think it's just kind of like the wind, like playing tricks on your ears. But the further down you fall, you kind of need to kind of slow your roll in order to kind of try to take this in. So it's not just, wind brushing past your ears and stuff. Deep below you, you hear almost kind of like a gentle sloshing. Like a distant, almost like a distant fountain or a distant ocean.
What?
Just a shh, 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 ebbing in the far distance beneath you.
Does that ring a bell of... Because wasn't there a vision of the white tree surrounded in an ocean of blood?
Your mind could jump to that conclusion.
Is there any smell or anything from here?
From this far, there is kind of like a hint of copper to the air, to be sure. It's not quite as pungent as when you were walking around on the dried grounds in the future, where
Right.
you were just stepping all over old mud blood.
So... Would I need to history check for what the ocean of blood with the white tree means for this timeline?
I'd say with the fact that you had been reading Danir's journal,
Yeah.
you know what that represents to him, and you of course have seen the tree in the future. So, and you were just in Ramsey's nightmare vision dream realm.
Right.
So the image that kind of comes to mind is, in fact, that pool of blood leading towards the birch white tree. But you're not entirely sure what would be making it move.
Right. She will very cautiously and slowly, and trying to not be noticed along the wall, go down further to see if she can get any other clues as to what's going on down there.
You were about 2/3 of the way down the maw at the moment,
Oh boy, okay.
from your old recollection of how long it took Bahum to fly out of it.
Right. So free falling for 15 minutes gets you to the bottom.
Approximately, yes.
Okay, so it would take 3 hours to fly out normally.
Mm-hmm. Would that still be your plan, knowing this?
No, because that's big danger, I feel like, right?
If in fact there is anything that could notice you that might be able to stop you from flying, yes.
Bill's... Let me think. You know what? Hang on. Damn it, don't tell me it's gone. Fudge. It is gone. I don't have it anymore. Hold on, I'm just checking one other thing. Okay. Yeah, she'll go up. because she knows that that's a Denier thing. And if she doesn't know Denier magic, she shouldn't be close. So she'll head back up, but keep an eye out for more things in the walls. And basically heightened senses the rest of the way, since she knows that Blood Tree thing is a big bad.
Not good. So we have some history with that.
Yeah.
Once again, on the way up, you see, cracks and fissures along the wall. Nothing that would signify, nothing that looks like a tunnel or anything like that on your way up. And you pass by that one particular inlet that you saw previously.
Nothing has changed about it.
No.
Okay.
Takes
Yeah,
a
then
couple-
she would beeline for Denier as soon as she gets to the top.
I'd say you'd probably make it out by the time that people are starting to head towards the town, head towards, I guess, the closest thing you guys have to a town hall at the moment for the council gathering.
Ah,
But
shit.
you would.
I
but
thought
you
I
would
missed
be,
it.
But you would be able to spot Denier on your way there. Oi! Denier, Nara flies over to you.
I was hoping you'd make it in time. Come on.
Oh, hang on one second. This is kind of important. So, hey, you remember how you always have those, vision things of the tree and the blood and the ocean of blood?
Yes, I remember every night for the last 10 years.
So, it's kind of at the bottom of the maw right now?
Yep. Which is why I don't like going anywhere near that, because every time I cross that maw, I can hear the damn thing calling to me.
What do you mean calling to you?
When we went across the maw the first time to go to the north, I could actually feel it down there.
What did it feel like?
I can't even describe it properly. It was a looming feeling. It felt like the Oogies.
Those are very unpleasant. So, oh, also I found this.
And she holds up a little vial of the old pink goo stuff.
Denier.
It was coming out of a fissure, little thingy bob.
History check with advantage.
Okie doke. History check with advantage. That's a 17.
As soon as you see this pinkish, old, desiccated slime material, you have a flashback to your moments in the mines when you were attacked by the slime that tried to rip into your mind, the slime that eventually wriggled its way in there and forced you to blast Bahum.
Denier's face almost... If his face could change color, it would go white at that point.
His hair puffs up.
His
tail floofs.
Oh yeah, he is maximum floof right now. And there's just a little bit of a rumbling from his throat.
So bad?
This thing is what caused me to attack the king.
Okay, so pretty strong, then I take it.
Pretty strong, pretty bad. Did you encounter one of these things down there?
No, there was just a bunch of old goo in the wall. But I didn't come across anything. I heard the sloshing down there, and when I thought of your little blood ocean tree nightmare thing, I figured I probably shouldn't go any further until I talk to you.
Smart, because more than likely there's beasts of the bleeding god down there. Did you hear slurping?
I heard this like shh, 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 shh sound. Is that it?
Does it, Lani, does the sound ring a bell?
From a distance, that might be what you're thinking.
It might be. You're going to need to be equipped if you're going to go down there. Because, well, let me put it to you like this. And he minor images one of the bleeding god's creatures that he always sees wandering around down there. You're going to have to deal with one of these. A lot of these, actually. Probably.
So, what do I do if I go down there then?
Well,
I mean, can I just like blast all the blood away and then the thing is gone, or probably gonna be way more complicated than that?
I wish that was. I wish. If you have a red cloak is really good for camouflage to help you hide when you're down there.
Fair.
Yeah, he looks down at his jacket. I don't wear red because of a fashion choice.
Ah. Man, this is gonna make building my fort way harder.
I bid you the best of luck with that. I want nothing to do with anything that goes down there, unless I'm killing it. And he reaches out, and I assume that Nara's still on the pixie stick, correct?
Oh yeah.
And he just places a hand on the tip of the pixie stick, and he just starts leading Nara towards the council chambers.
No, Denier, no.
You gotta do it. Wolfgang and Asmo's gonna really need to know what's going on down there.
I have to go back in the mall. I didn't go all the way to the bottom. I should go and fight one of the maw beasts. No. I hate meetings.
It is your responsibility as the warden of the maw.
I am the queen of the maw, first of all, and second of all, that was only my first time in the maw.
He stops, turns, rests his chin on the pixie stick. Where's your crown?
Pulls out the void crown.
That is a tiara. That is not a crown.
Not fair. I'll just ask a hackless to make me one.
That can go
Until
so many
then-
ways.
Until then, come on.
Oh.
It's gonna be fine.
Puts both heels against the door frame as he tries to pull her in.
All right.
Okay. I cast Reduce on her when she tries to put both heels on the door.
Is there a save to that?
There is. Let me go ahead and check. I believe it is a Constitution save if you wanna fight it.
Saving throw?
Uh huh.
14.
No, that's a fail.
No.
It is a
There's
con
a-
save.
No.
There's now a tiny doll-sized Nara.
Who is kicking her feet
I-
angrily.
I now need you to make me an acrobatics check, since the
God.
broom has now gotten significantly larger compared to you.
6.
You fall off the broom.
How?
They pick up the tiny Nara. She goes under his arm like a sack of flour. He grabs the pixie stick and he carries her into the council meeting.
He completely ragdolls in defeat.
Wolfgang, Asmo, you are currently sitting around a table with Venariel, and Flix has made her way in. She's waiting patiently as Denier walks in with a tiny Nara under his arm. Is everything okay? Venariel
All right.
asks, very confused.
I just let you play out. What's going on there, you two?
He was
Nara
exploring.
is non-responsive.
She was exploring the maw. She came back. Apparently, there's bad things down there.
Well, she's in charge of all of that, so she can give her report at this meeting.
Honestly, it's just nice not being the shortest one here for once.
Nara's arms are crossed, still under his arm.
I will walk her over and sit her down in her chair.
Do I even look over the table at all?
If you stand up, you can.
She will not.
So,
Lean the picture
So?
against the table next to her and find my seat.
I went down into the maw, and there was the smell of blood, and probably a tree, and I found some pink goo that Denier has. It's in a vial. Can I go now?
I guess the meeting is called to order, Venariel says.
Ah!
As she sits down and kind of tamps a stack of papers in front of her. First order of business. I suppose, would you like to go over the accounts of the town?
Yes, might as well get the
Let's get the stat breakdowns on this.
other things out of the order. This will be a good icebreaker.
Construction is currently ahead of schedule, as the influx of people from Wild's Edge who have been healed, some of them have been joining in the labor force, as well as the influx of workers from Fallwood Barrow and Amber Glade. Everything is currently ahead of schedule, though the lumber supply has some discrepancies.
We need more lumber.
Discrepancies.
Yes, the
Out of
accounts
wood.
show that we are missing a sizable chunk of lumber, mostly harder woods, but luckily we've been able to use the services of some of the refugees from Wild's Edge to travel off to the nearby forest to collect more wood, but that has added a little bit of time to some of the projects.
I see.
You hear from the general direction of Nara something hitting the chair.
Meanwhile, due to the influx of workers from Fallwood Barrow and Amber Glade, the coffers are becoming a bit lighter than expected at this stage. There are a few solutions. We could potentially raise taxes or look for outside funds.
Oh, I got an even better idea.
She gestures to you.
Wolfgang, what's the name of the town?
This town that we're in.
Yeah.
Venariel kind of like face palms a little bit.
No. Why aren't we shoring up the silver mines?
Because those belong to Flix.
Hello.
That's true. That is fair. However, it looks like
Yes.
we're gonna have to rely on that a bit more than we were expecting.
And according to the agreement you have come to with Miss Flix, is that she is to be compensated for the use of these mines?
Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
Which would eat into any of their profits if such profits were to come about.
Well, maybe we can talk to Flix about potentially shoring up one of the mines. Shoring up one of the mines for quicker access. Speed up production. Another exit, if you will. I don't know. Some way of expanding upon that. I'm sure this has been said at a meeting in this town before in the past.
Well, the majority of our labor force is currently being used in construction and reconstruction of the districts, which the populace has been very grateful for. After taking a brief census of the town, there have been little to no concerns as to the current direction of Silver Rock. They are very thankful, grateful. A few of them are less than pleased with the influx of the rougher individuals from Wild's Edge appearing, but with the police force working in proper coordination, crime overall has been down, so it seems to have evened out.
Good job, Imperator.
Yeah,
But
well,
once construction need for construction has lessened, I'm sure we can take some of the local laborers and set them back to their normal duties within the mines.
Yes, I
haven't
certainly
seen-
hope that nobody is funneling our construction supplies and labor force towards anything frivolous.
for what it's worth, and this isn't the time nor the place, but you could always convert all those Silver Rock caves over into, I don't know, make it little complexes, carve out a little bit more, have people live in little, live underground and stuff. Some people will love it.
Asma just kind of winks.
The other option that we do have is we have brought back both yumberries and giant fruit from the Feywild. We could attempt to grow that since the rest of the Empire of Fire doesn't have either of those things. That could be a major cash crop, especially with the properties of yumberries.
That is true.
And
Feels
with
kind of wrong, though.
with the current inhabitation of the very large tree by a dryad, I believe.
Correct. I have currently been working trying to acclimate her to the tree to serve as a potential nature-based defense, as well as possibly down the road train up some more of the nature-attuned rangers, druidic types, that kind of thing for the city.
The vast majority of complaints we have received have been about her actions and the actions of the plants around her, so I hope that acclimation is speedier.
Indeed. There is it is a little bit bumpy. I am working on ways to try to calm things down. She's not attacking people anymore, thankfully.
But there have been a number of scared children and men and women and dogs. Lots of scared dogs.
Thankfully, until she's a part of the tree permanently, we can control exactly when she's brought in to attempt to limit the exposure to the rest of the population until we convince her that, until we can convince her of a more peaceful resolution between nature and civilization.
Well, I hope your efforts bear fruit, so to speak, because it would more than likely be necessary that if you were going to try to grow some non-indigenous fruit here, that a fey creature's hands would probably be the best ones to sow the seeds.
And that is precisely my thought, why I began the process to begin with.
Flix holds up her hand. I want to circle back around to that idea of perhaps getting people to live in the mines.
Oh, you like that, huh? Well, I mean, here's the thing. If the mines exist, that means you have all these tunnels underneath this city, a whole interwoven area of space. So, all I can think is just, I mean, with all that, just a little organizing, a little cleaning up here or there, probably a fucking map. It can be used that way. So, there you go. Double
I've done
dip.
a bit of surveying over the past few weeks, and there are a few of the mines where the silver veins have dried up. So if we could find more use for that territory and say, I know not a lot of surface dwellers like living beneath the surface, but I've noticed that a few dwarves have been moving in here and there.
Oh, dwarves will take that spot immediately. That's the big
what
thing
I
I
was
was
thinking
thinking about.
myself.
I mean, this, if anything, if you name it after, if you just rename a bunch of the veins and just name after different dwarven things, I mean, you could, there you go, right there.
And with that, you might find another revenue stream. Of course, I'd take me share, being that they're my mines and all, but...
It's something.
Well, I'm double dipping, if anything. Just think of it this way. Instead of looking at it like you're just mining tunnels and that it's just going to be empty forever, filled with skeletons or whatever, you know, just room and board that can't catch on fire.
There is that one particular property down in the mines that, if renovated properly and probably, blessed, could be very useful.
Which property would that be?
There is a hidden former laboratory down in the mines that was previously cleared out. It was.
Oh, you're gonna have to
damaged.
show. You're gonna have to show them that because I have no idea where that was. Oh yeah, the former. But everyone's confused here. Former leader, like he had some weird ancestor down there. I don't even want to go into detail. That guy had a lot going on.
Your report on Eadric Kench was substantial.
It was odd.
Though, yes, I would like to know the precise location of that area.
It was behind an illusory wall, I believe, last time we were down there.
I just assumed it all fell apart after we killed him. I have no idea how magic works, you know. So.
Well, Ramses
Clearly.
threw a number of fireballs into the area, so it has no doubt taken significant damage, and a majority of it may have been burned, but it is a significant underground building area.
We'll have to survey it and see if it's still structurally sound.
I can help you get there.
And yes, it does not shock me to know that Archmage Palto is responsible for more destruction in this city.
Well, to be fair, Eadric Kinch did try to eat him.
Yep.
Well, there's that. Maybe in another world he succeeded. Who knows? Speaking of, I reported to the lady. She is currently in conference with her brothers. When they reach a consensus, I'm certain you will be one of the first to know.
Fair enough.
Now, Lord Connolly, in the meanwhile, I was told that my position here might be a touch more permanent, if that is not an inconvenience.
Not at all.
Though when volunteers for your job usually don't say no.
Having your knowledge and counsel here will be a great boon to us.
Your confidence in my abilities is... It's a great honor, thank you. Now, did you brief your team from the Kylum?
Yes, I debriefed them on the matter. I awarded them their due pay and complimented them on a successful first outing. Bumpy and cut short as it was, it did give us a great deal of information, and for what was initially a scouting mission, I consider that a success.
She seems to be taking down your words verbatim on a sheet of paper. Sets aside her quill. Very well. Is there any further business to discuss? Flix once again holds up her hand. You mentioned earlier something about additional revenue streams.
Eyebrow raise.
Well, aside from possibly double dipping with the mines and setting up some living spaces down there, an associate of mine might have a business proposition for you.
Interesting.
An associate.
I don't mean
That's
to
good,
intrude.
because I think we need to have a breakaway meeting with yourself, actually.
Regarding what?
Oh, you know, trails we haven't taken in a long time.
Ah, the Nexus.
Yeah.
Asmo kind of looks over because out of character. I don't know if it's safe to mention it here.
Yeah, I see if I look to see if Venariel is still writing things down.
Venariel is, I mean, you know for a fact that the leader of the Whisper Wisps was under the Queen's direct control. Venariel is very well versed in the underworld.
Fair enough.
Needing something smuggled, are we?
Can you
Well,
repeat that? Sorry, you cut out on my end.
Needing something smuggled, do you?
I want to see. Actually, do you have a map of your routes that you're willing to show us? You can redact it. I want to see what your map is of the Northern Reach.
Not exactly something we keep on hand. It's more in here sort of thing. She points to her temple.
All right. Then I'll ask you this question then. How many ways up to the north are there through the Nexus?
Last I checked, at least dozen or two.
Now, silly question. With a new northern lord of sorts, have a lot of those portals closed up. He's magical by nature.
That would be why my estimate is between 1 and 2 dozen. There's about 12 there that are suspect, to say the least, whether they've been discovered, shut down, or compromised.
And that comes down to the next big question. We're looking for ways in and out. And the Fey Runner's route. Well, the Nexus. Bit unconventional. The reason why we pitched this is if people can't get through the border, well, maybe they can come through that route. I mean, it'd be a hell of a route to take, but given the options. Between a rock and a hard place. Like, you'd ask, how hard is the place? That metaphor makes sense.
I think an arrangement can be made for certain.
You ever actually staked out a path through there and tried to actually move crowds of people? I don't think so. Which is why we'd
Darling,
have to...
please. I've traveled to the north and back several times.
Yeah, but you did it. Have you ever tried to do it with a bunch of people who have never done something like that before?
Holds his hand up before cutting her off before she says, pointing at Asmo.
Hold on.
She actually gets kind of a far-off look in her eye when you mention somebody that hasn't really done it before. Just...
Because there ain't gonna be a bunch of trained fighters. This is gonna be people running. Panicking. Not okay with it. It's a bit of a different ask. So, there's a lot of logistics we'd have to talk about. But luckily, everyone here knows magic more than me, right, guys?
Venario just
I'd
kind of
say
looks
that's a fair
around.
estimate.
Yeah, Venario looks around. Yes, I'd assume so. By a wide margin.
About this time, I dropped the concentration on the spell on Nara.
Nara, are you still there?
If anyone looks, Nara, there's on the chair that Nara was sitting on is the parallax.
Yep. So while you were in there getting big snuggles from a big old dino, you now grow into size.
We were working on training and listening to commands and playing.
He was very much excited by the fact that you were even tinier than usual. He could
of
barely
course.
make out your words.
Well,
One
then once that happened, it was all play then.
I'm just gonna take like an empty pouch that I've got, and I am going to walk over to the parallax, and I'm going to put it in the bag and leave it on the chair.
Nara, it is now nighttime. Everything is dark. That's fine for you, but little ass is scared and confused.
What happens if I try and go out of the parallax?
That'll be interesting, won't it?
Right, sorry about that.
How long does fairy lights last? Or dancing lights? Only a minute. Yeah, she'll put on dancing lights to kind of get a look at what's going on, but we can deal with that if you're in the middle of something.
I mean, you can leave the parallax whenever you want.
Yeah, she'll try and leave, because once Lil Ass is scared, then it's like, who's messing with my baby?
Wolfgang, the little pouch that you put in tears as Nara's form emerges from it.
Holding Tango Muerte in the left hand with a hand up, ready to cast a spell in the right, looking around.
Okay.
Flix
You are
is
paying
just
attention.
Flix is just kind of giggling. Here, I thought this meeting was going to be boring.
What happened?
Well, we were just making sure that everybody was accounted for.
Oh, immediately dives back in the parallax.
I don't even know where to begin. I just...
Flix's eyes light up. What is that?
It's a little... What is it called? A demi-plane? It's given to us by an old friend, and...
From inside.
Parallax.
Your voice does not travel through it. You are in a separate plane.
Great.
You cannot hear anything that is happening outside, and you cannot communicate with the outside. You can see outside, though.
All
Gotcha.
you hear is
Crazy.
the void.
Demi-plane. That can fit things inside of it.
Wolfgang, are you looking down into it?
I'm looking at it, but not down into it. I know what happens when you look into it.
Well, she also has to kind of command you to fall in, if that's the case.
Yeah,
but-
I know. She likes to fuck with
Fair
me, so
enough.
I'm not doing that.
All right. Perception with disadvantage.
9.
Nah, nothing. You're not really paying attention to anything that's in there. But Flix's eyes lighten up, and she just kind of like steeples her fingers beneath her chin for a moment. Now, if you're wondering how to get a bunch of inexperienced people through the Nexus,
I had the
something
same
like that would
thought.
do it.
I start shaking the parallax.
Gravitational forces outside do not affect anything inside, so all you see, Nara, is just like a fucking swirl of colors as the world outside spins rapidly. It's a little sickening to look at, but ultimately does not affect you gravitationally speaking.
You know that, like, field of flowers with the sparkles when they're running with the little blushy cheeks and the big sparkle eyes slowly? Like that?
Mm-hmm.
Nara's doing that with Lil Ass inside the parallax while he's doing that.
Little ass just runs by you, dunks his head down, and bites a chicken off the ground. There are a lot of chicken bones and, like, bloody feathers everywhere in here, by the way.
Yep. Still running through the field laughing.
Come and eat. Don't eat me. Ha ha ha.
But yes, if you wanted to get inexperienced people through the Nexus, I think that'd be your way.
I think
Something like that,
you
anyway.
May very well be right.
Well, you know, as much as it would be good to get people, I guess it leaves us with one burning question. Till next meeting, at least. How do we tell people there's a way to get out of the North without notifying the North?
True. You never
I
really
mean-
know who you're talking to up there. And you never really know who's watching.
I mean, the same way that we were told previously, I expect. Wasn't it like some ghost that came down and told us about it?
No, I'm trying to imagine we go up there. All right, guys, here's a way to escape right here, right here. I'm sorry. He would hit us with everything he's got. It's a subterfuge is part of it.
Or diplomacy. Maybe...
About the application of both.
What if you played along and agreed with his terms? It's obvious that he's up to something. But that doesn't mean that the people up there deserve to suffer.
That's been on my mind this whole time. It's obvious that Ramses is up to no good. But these people don't deserve to be caught in the crossfire.
So we're playing a giant game of who's going to stab the other in the back first.
Denier, you know him better than anyone. What do you think his goals are?
Oh. His entire goals have to deal with all of the Arcane Innate. He's probably going to try to convert every single Arcane Innate on the planet.
To what end?
He doesn't want the Arcane Innate to be discriminated against like he was previously. He wants them to be safe. He holds up quotation marks.
My fear is he's trying to do like a pendulum move. Pushing the pendulum so far one way that when it swings back, the negotiations go back that then they don't have to cede anything. Essentially, he's kicking up enough of a storm to try and get exactly what he wants. It's a negotiating pattern for not getting more than what he wants. That's what I do.
You believe there's no possibility that he is... As the person that has known him the most and has worked with him the most, you believe that there is no possibility that he is actually negotiating in good faith?
I believe that there is a possibility, as twisted as his motives is, his motives have a logic in and of themselves. His view is skewed, but everything that he's done up to this point has been for the protection of the Arcane Innate, those that he sees as his people.
Maybe he did some magical deal he never should have. Maybe he's just in too deep and can't get out.
Well,
Maybe.
we already know what he's been talking to, and we know that we know what happened to it. I believe that Ramses is unfortunately a victim of the same kind of manipulation that he often uses as a part of his toolbox. He will do whatever it takes to further his goals and make sure that his people are safe. But what he sees as the best thing for his people isn't exactly what's best in our eyes.
All report
With the
that
information that I currently have, I don't think that he would straight up go to war. But if he feels that he has no choice and he's pushed back into a corner, that's when things might get dangerous.
I'll report that to the lady as well. Is there any further business to discuss here today?
That should be all.
Very well. Council is adjourned for now. And she picks up her papers, tamps them one more time, and puts them into a satchel by her side. I'll get in contact with me associate.
Hit me. Contact me the second you get it.
I have the feeling that we're going to be meeting an old friend.
I'm sure it'll be sooner than you think, too.
Asper just kind of looks over his shoulder.
Flicks smiles and winks as she hops down out of the chair. Until later, then. Bye, loves.
Have a good night.
And as the council adjourns, and you ponder the ramifications of what's to come, here's where we will end today's session.